Hello and welcome back to my garage. Today, still in the shop, the Opel Zafira. We have to do a couple of things on the car, and one of the things is a new ball joint. I already replaced the ball joint on the other side, I do believe last year. And now of course this side has to be done also. I always say always replace both because most of the time, well, if one goes then the other is not far behind. But for some reason we didn't do that. Normally I don't work on this car, or no, that's not the right phrase. Normally I help the guy working on this car. He isn't here right now, so I'm doing it right now. So yeah, that's one of the reasons that there isn't any videos about it. So let's do it now. This is one of those fun kind of jobs. And the reason is, these are not bolted in, but they are riveted in. So we need to drill out the rivets or grind them off or something like that. These are not that hard to remove, but because I already have removed the whole shock and of course the disc brakes, because well, we have to replace it also, but those will be in a other video. I've got this ball joint, it's from Delphi. It's a fine brand in my opinion. In this case, this was the most cheapest option for, well, this car in a known brand. Of course there are cheaper ones, but most of the times those cheaper ones are maybe a couple of euros cheaper. These things are not that expensive. So, but other than that, yeah, maybe get a whole new control arm or a lower arm if you don't want to mess with that. Well, those rivets to make it yourself a little bit more easy. But yeah, it is doable. But yeah, it's annoying. Let's say it. Let's leave it at that. It's just annoying. So this kit comes luckily with some new bolts and of course the ball joint itself, and yeah, that's it. So let's get it on the car. So well, here we have the whole thing. Normally of course we have the strut right here and the disc stuff and the caliper and stuff like that. So what I'm going to do first, and what you definitely need to do yourself, is you need to, well, as you can see, these are not bolted in, these are riveted in. So yeah, that makes it for us a little bit more complicated than it has to be. So we need to remove this bolt, and it has a nut on the other side. So let's remove that first. This is 18. Hopefully the nut is also 18. And no, not every time it is. So it's always a little bit of a surprise, so now and then. But in this case, yes, it is a 18. I have to be careful not to pull out this out of the gearbox, because then we have a lot of oil. So what I'm going to do is use a pickle fork, because yeah, I'm not going to reuse this ball joint of course. So I don't care if it's well, if the boot rips or if I damage it. It is moving, not a lot. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to suspend this from the strut tower. Yeah. So maybe I can now bind it up better. At least we definitely know it's worn. I was grinding these off, but this thing is just in the way for me hammering this stuff out. So I'm not going to bother trying to it anymore. I am going to remove that whole arm, what I should have done yesterday. Some people just don't learn. Well, here we have bolt number 1. And hopefully they use the same size. Okay, so this is an 18 and this is also an 18, but very rusty. And of course it's the same on the other side. Maybe we have to flip it around. There's not a lot of room for a impact, so I do think it's going to be a hand operation. Yes, there's also a way to get a nut off. Yeah. And hopefully we can now just take it out of there. Not too bad. At least the rubbers are intact. The drill was already gone, but I've now destroyed it. Well, that were two. Now the third one. Well, next time we're going to just drill them out. Especially with arms that you can easily get off, like this one. Well, bolts, I always use some grease. Where's the other one? Normally you don't tighten these up, or at least not completely snug, when, well, the car is off the ground, like it's now. So what I'm going to do is I'm snug them up, and when the car is completely back on the lift, then I will give it a final turn. The reason is if I tighten it up like this, and we have to, well, put this arm back. First of all, we have a hard time to get them back in the spindle, but other than that, or in the hub. But other than that, there is a lot of strain on the bushings, so you're probably going to blow out those bushings within, well, a couple of miles. Look at this BMW, even Opel can do it better than you. Next up, of course, our new ball joint. Now let's put it back into its place. Maybe just a little bit of grease on there. Normally, of course, you will fight the strut, but in this case I'm not having that issue. Maybe I should have cleaned the bore first. It was fighting a little bit, but with some love taps it went in without too much trouble. But it's maybe better to clean that hole first. Well, the bolt size at least has changed. It looks like it went from 18 to a 19. I'm going back to working on the shock and other stuff. But remember, normally you will put back the tire. Just be sure that you, after you have lowered the car, that you tighten up these bolts here and of course the one over there. Other than that, this thing is done. So there you have it, how to change a CV joint. And there you have it, how to change a ball joint on, in this case, a Opel Zafira. It is just like, I did before, I don't know which car it was, but I do think some French cars. But yeah, you are going to see it more, that these are rifted in. It's a bit of a pain, yeah, it's a little bit of annoying pain. It's a bit of inconvenience, that's more of a term, because yeah, otherwise you could just slip it off there, bolt in a new one and you're done. Now you have to remove the whole control arm. It isn't too hard to do, so no biggie there. It is not like that, the BMW Mini, that was absolutely a big nightmare for, to replace those bushings. Yeah, I'm going to mention that car a lot in future videos. Be sure that the car is on the ground and then just tighten up those two big bolts. If you don't do it in that order, you have the chance that you are destroying those bushings and you have to do that all over again, well, pretty soon. That's it for this video. Hopefully you enjoyed it or at least learned something from it. If you did, please give it a like. If you want to follow me around, you know what to do, and I will see you next time. Bye.